Hey everyone, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and we are working on Stamperia's Little Girl, and we are on page 4 and 5. These are going to be mirror images, so we're going to build them side by side to save a little bit of time. So what I'm going to start with is what's going to be the base of this page, which is going to be these two patterns, and we're going to butt them together and then trim them down to fit. And I think I missed this edge. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. I'm going to move 5 out of the way. So we're going to take these two pieces and we are going to tape them together. So I'm going to flip them over. And I just so happen to have some nice fat tape, so that's what I'm going to use. Ooh, that's so sticky. Maybe next time I'll use something a little thinner. Okay, now that I've got it adhered on one side, now I'm going to marry this up. And I'm just gonna, pardon me, start at the corner and then sort of lay it down as I go. There we go. So now we have one piece of paper that's going to cover like so. So now that they're adhered together and this is essentially behaving as a single sheet of paper, we're going to trim this down to fit. And in my case, it's going to be 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. It depends on what you guys want to do for your borders. Now, of course, you could trim it all down before and then stick them together, but I just find it easier to put them together and then trim them down, and that way you wind up with very even edges. You don't have to worry about any staggering. So I'm going to do the same thing for page 5. Okay, and you can see one's trimmed more than the other. Yeah, because it looks like I'd already trimmed this one down. So I'm going to put these together. I'm going to marry them up on the end here, then lay it in my trimmer and then even that out. Trying to make sure I'm doing this right because I really want 2 polka dot patterns toward the spine and the hearts toward the outside of the pages. So I'm going to use something a little bit thinner. I think it'll be a little easier to work with. And this time I'm just going to lay it down this way. Oh, but see, that's the problem with this technique is you get some drift. So I'm going to try to lift this. Yeah, it's not doing very good. So as I was laying it down, the 2 pieces of paper drifted apart. So that's the problem with that technique. So I'm going to try to snug them back up and start again. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now there we are. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the trimmer and trim it down. Okay, now that these are both trimmed, we can go ahead and re-ink our edges, or at least the ones that we trimmed. Okay, so those are in. So these again are going to be page 4 and 5. So there's our base. So now we're going to build on top of this. And so for this page, I've decided not to do the slots because I think doing a slot across this seam is going to be very difficult. So I'm actually going to lay these directly onto this page. And when I say these, you're going to have two 4.5 by 6 inch flaps, and you're going to have one 8 by 6 score it 4 card, and you're going to need one for page 4 and one for page 5. And so the card piece is going to go in this way and open down, and the two flaps are going to go in like this and open up. And we're going to have essentially the same design over here. So there's my card, and then here's my two flaps. And they're just going to be mirror images of each other. And then we're going to use this to hold everything in place, I think. So let's try to lay it in and see how it looks. And also see if I've got enough reach on this to get to where I can put a magnet to hold it all together. And that looks a little shy, so I'm gonna rethink this. Okay, here's what I think I'm gonna do. Do I have two full ones? No, I don't. I think this is the, sorry about that. This is the perforated line that, this is the perforated line that happens when you use the die, but I think I'm just going to rescore it so that I've got more reach. So let's try that and take a look at it. And then that perforated line would get covered up by the mat anyway. So let's see, how far do I want to come in? I'd like to come in at least this far, so maybe down. Yeah, I'm gonna score it like at 1.5 and see how that looks. This is the tag from the Tag and Pocket die of Graphic 45. So I'm just gonna create a new score line. And then I want to check and make sure that, yeah, so the tag would still basically create the map. And the pocket becomes the hinged closure. Yeah, that's gonna do it. So this one I had already trimmed off, so I'm gonna use a new one. And I'll score it in the same place, and then we're gonna use this die to cover it up. Okay, so it's Tag and Pocket, so this is a full-size Tag and Pocket. When I laid it into the scoreboard, I created a new score line at 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches, okay? So now, because we're going to lay everything directly on the mat and we're not going to do any slits or install around it, we can go ahead and add this to the pocket page. So I'm adding this to the pocket page. Make sure your pockets are opening to the left and right. I don't know what she's fussing about, but I'm gonna have to probably get this down and go check it out. Okay, so that's page 4. We're going to repeat the process for page 5. Looks like I can trim it just a little bit more. Let's re-ink it and we'll glue it. So clean up, do a little housekeeping. Okay, so our bases are in. And I just realized I was supposed to attach my closure. So that means we're gonna have an exposed hinge for this too, but I have a workaround. So one of the pieces, it should have actually been under this panel, but my dog started barking and distracted me. So this is gonna be the base, and then there's gonna be 2 flaps on top. So the way I'm going to mask that is I'm gonna make sure that this flap is behind this card, like so. So it's not as exposed as it would be otherwise. So let's see how that looks. We just have to make sure we have enough reach that it comes across to this panel, and it does. Okay, so that's how I'm gonna manage it. So I actually don't want this to open until you pull up the first 2 flaps. So you open this hinge, and this will go up, up, and then the last one will go down. Okay, so that's how we're gonna hide it. We're going to put it behind this card. Okay, sorry. I'm thinking and talking at the same time. That's why I'm so slow. Okay, so we can, I think I want basically the same margin on the top and the bottom, so that's what I'm eyeballing right now. So once I figure out what that is, I can do some cheat lines, and then we can take the middle piece and adjust it until it's visually pleasing. And I'm looking for my ruler. Here it is. So that's a 1/2 inch. That's an inch. Let's see, how far am I going in? About an inch. Let's see if I'm doing the same thing. About 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's do that's an inch and an inch. Okay, let's do that. So we're going to come up from the bottom. Two, three, four, or this is actually my inch mark is this way. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So I'm going to come put a reference line here real quick, and I'm going to go lightly so we can erase it easily. But that's going to help us get our top and bottom pieces in. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start with the flaps that come down because I want to hide this hinge behind the bottom piece. So it's going to go so, and this is going to go in like so. So now I'm deciding how far I want to come in from the sides, and it looks like that's about right. So let's see. So I'm going to come in a 1/2 inch. Let's get some tape on these and get them down. I'm just going to lay my ruler in to help me guide this into place. There we go. And then we know we want our bottom one down here, so let's figure that last piece out. And I think I want to come in 1/2 inch, same thing. Which would be right here. Okay, so I am going to adhere this hinge to the back of this card. The card's going to open down. I'm going to adhere this to the back of the card, and then I'm going to lay the card in now that I have an idea of where I want everything to flow. So I want the card to open top down. Oops, wrong way. I want it this way, toward the top. So it's going to open top down, and I just adhered it right here. Okay. All right, so now that that's done, we can actually lay the whole card in. Okay. I'm going to use my ruler again to come in 1/2 inch. And then I've got a reference line on the bottom here. Good. Press it into place, and then I got a little bit of pencil to remove right there. Okay, that's it. And then the last piece is going to be the centerpiece, and I think I'm just going to push it right up against this hinge so that basically it's a 1/2 inch drop, and it'll look like that. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I need some tape. There we go. I put that, unfortunately, I adhered this flap really too close to the hinge. I should have scooted it out a little bit, so it'll be okay, but especially once it's stiffer, but it's catching right now. Okay, so now we are ready to use some magnets. Okay, so I like the way this is turning out. I think I'm gonna do my magnet a little bit off center, so it's gonna go in about here, and then also on the back side. And in this case, I'm actually going to adhere it to the inside of the flap. So I'm going to start with this one. And I want some tape that's fatter. Put that over, here it is. I'm struggling because there's a magnet on the other side and it's pulling it. So I think this is going to work. work. Yep, there we go. Okay, now it's time to start covering things. So let's do that. And we're just going to do kind of opposite. So I'm going to put the dots up on this one and the dots down on this one, if that makes sense. Or it will in a minute. It's going to go in like this. Okay. Oh, what are you doing, baby? She found some paper to eat. All right, there's 1, 2. I don't even know how he's going under there. But she was looking for her ball. She got it. She always finds a way to get it under something. Hopefully that squeaking isn't too annoying for you guys. She'll give it up in a minute. Okay, and then this will open down. And this is all going to close. And now I got to go, well, right now we're going to work on page 5, but in the end I'll wind up die cutting something for this. So now we're going to set page 4 aside. So that's page 4. I think it turned out pretty. Page 5. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come down an inch and up an inch. So let's go ahead and put those reference lines in. Tape. So this is going to be a mirror image. So the closure is going to be on this side. Just 2. And so this is how it comes out of the die. Of course, it's a little bit longer. I've trimmed this one. I'm going to trim off these 2 flanges, and then I'm going to score it so we can use it just like the other one. Okay, so there it is with the flanges trimmed off. And now I'm going to score it. And it should score at 1.5, but I have already trimmed part of this off, so just so you know. That's why it doesn't look exactly the same. So it's going to go in this side and it's going to be attached to this piece. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Now let's see. I'm going to pull page 4 back in, and I'm going to measure the distance between here and here, because that's what I'm trying to figure out on this side. And I think I said it was a 1/2 inch, but let's double check. Yeah, it's a 1/2 inch. All right, so I want to come in a 1/2 inch for my first flap. That's right there, baby. Tape pulled up, so I'm going to put a little glue here. Okay, so I've got my ruler set at 1/2 inch, so I know this needs to go at my reference line and then across. There we go. Now we're ready to lay this in. And this needs to come over a 1/2 inch as well, or a 1/2 inch from this side. So I'm going to set this at my 1/2 inch mark. We're going to come up an inch, and it's going to get installed right there. So let's go ahead and open this. Oops. That's not for you, baby. She's very busy. Oh, you know what I just realized? No, I did it right. I was going to say I put this on the bottom, but that's how it's supposed to look before you install it. I'm going to have to take a break because she's distracting me so much. I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake. So we'll get this in, and then we'll get that last flap in and add the covers because I don't have to really think about that. That's pretty straightforward. Okay, again, we're set 1.5 inches from the left and 1 inch up from the bottom. And that's in. Yep. Okay, and then we're going to put in our last one. And it's going to go right off of the hinge here. And let's see, what am I going to do? It's going to come in, how much? It's going to come in about 5/8. Right there. 5/8 from the edge of this. That's not right. 3/8, I think. Yeah. Oh, I did it the wrong way. It's supposed to go that way. Ugh. Well, shoot. I'm supposed to come in this way. I was measuring off the wrong side. Because it's a mirror, it's very easy to do that. So I actually am gonna, I should take a break because I'm making mistakes, and part of that's because of my dog. But part of it's just craft fatigue in general. So I'm trying to decide if I can live with this or if I want to move it over. And I think I'm just gonna live with it. But if you want to mirror image, this should be actually poking out on this side. So I'm going to leave it as is just because the paper is so light. I could probably use undo, but I'm afraid it might leave a mar because both of these are so light. So I'm going to go ahead and dress it the way it is. So we are ready for magnets, so let's do that. Let's put a magnet about right there. I like it. I like it like that. Put some tape on. And while I'm doing this, I'm still thinking about whether or not I want to undo that. So you know what I think I'm going to do is take some undo on a scrap and test it. And if it comes out and dries without leaving a stain on the paper, I am going to undo it. But either way, I'm going to take a break right now, go deal with my dog, so that I can focus when I come back and not make mistakes. And I gotta quit doing that too. I need to get my polish off, but that's not gonna happen between now and the next time we get together. Okay, all right, so I'll make a decision on that when I come back. You'll see if I'm gonna undo it. Okay, so I just couldn't be patient enough to wait for the undo. So we're gonna leave that flap where it was, and we're gonna go ahead and dress them. Yeah, I just don't have the patience for it. I need to finish this project and get on to my next. So sorry about that. Hopefully, I mean, you don't have to do it the way I did. And like I said, there's nothing, the measurements are really about what's visually pleasing. So moving it in or out 1/4 of an inch isn't going to make that much of a difference. Okay, so I'm reversing the pattern. So the hearts are on the bottom, they're going to be on the top. The centerpiece remains the same. I have to dink these edges. Or is this the one I was going to use? Yeah, that one is inked. Okay. Got swapped out. Not that it really matters, except it was inked. Went ahead and recharged my glue while I was gone because I was running out. And of course we carry the art glitter glue, and I love it. I use it for everything. I use it for all my embellishments, even my metal ones. You have to be a little bit patient because when it's on metal it does take a little bit of time to dry, but it does hold. I've never had anything fall off using art glitter glue. And I pack and unpack my albums to take to retreats to show as samples, so they get handled by a lot of people and then they get jostled around a bit when they're packed, and I've never had anything fall off. I've had issues with flowers, but not because of the where it's glued on. Sometimes the flowers just don't hold up. But the glue, the spot with the glue will remain. Okay, so this is all of our A sides. Okay, now I'm going to take another break because I'm going to select some papers to make these, and I'm going to run them through my die machine, and it's really hard to bring it up and back, and it also makes my desk shake like crazy. So I'm going to pause, get these die cuts done, and then come back and we're going to put those together, and then we'll have all the A sides done, and then I'll trim out all my B sides and we'll get those done. Okay, be back soon. Okay, I chose my 2 patterns to cover these closures, and I'm going to do the polka dots on the inside, and then I'm going to use this pattern on the outside. I think that looks really lovely. So that is the plan. So let's ink these and lay them in, and I think they're going to fit just as they come out of. Ooh, we might need to trim a hair off the edge so that it doesn't get hung up on the hinge. So let's see. Yeah, we're gonna have to take a sliver off the edge. And the first time I checked it, I thought it fit. Otherwise, I would have trimmed it while I was away. So I think I would take a 1/16 of an inch off the edge and see how that works for us. Yep, I think that'll do. Okay. I'm just lightly inking the edges. love this tag. Just for, if I'm not using the pocket, but I just like having the tag as a closure. I used it already in another album, but I just think it turns out really pretty. It's so easy too, to get a decorative edge to add to your page. Anyway, I hope you guys like it too. Polka dot or stripe? Polka dot or stripe? And I changed my mind, I'm gonna do the stripes. Oh, I forgot to dry fit it. And I need to trim a little off, so I'm gonna do that. And try to hurry so my glue doesn't dry. So I took a 1/16 of an inch off, and let's see how I did. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. I'm just trying to steer clear of that hinge so it doesn't get hung up when we go to close it. There we go. That's page 4. Page 5. I'm gonna have to do the same thing. Where we're gonna trim it about a 1/16. Perfect. Let's get that tape off, or the tape backing, that is. Do dry fit it, because you've got a magnet here, it does make it bubble, so it'll pull it up from the edge a little, so do keep that in mind when you're trimming this out. Ooh, I can tell I reloaded my glue. It's flowing so nicely. And we're going to do it this way, and we're going to take a 1/16 off. Okay, that gets plenty of space around the hinge. There we go. Page 4, page 5. Okay, last bit is to trim out the B-sides of the flaps. So I need a few minutes. I'm going to go download this part of the video. I'm going to trim out these pieces, make sure they're dry fit and everything, and then we're going to cover the back sides of each of these. So I think it turned out pretty nice. I'm a little disappointed that I did that backwards, but I still like it. So hopefully you guys caught it before you put yours in. If not, I still think it looks fine. And because it's away from the spine, or the gusset, the hinge area, it's not going to get hung up. It is a little close to the edge if it would have been reversed. That was part of the reason why I was staggering in this way, was to keep it away from the edge of the book, both the outside edge and the hinge area. So, okay, I'm going to go upload this, and then when I get back, we're going to do the B-sides. Okay, we're on to page 4 and 5, and we're doing the B-side now. So, I think I've got both these covered. Yeah, I do. Okay, so we're working on the B-side, and got the A sides. Here's the B side, and then B side. Okay, so I'm just going to dry fit, and we're going to start laying these in. looks good. Well, these are mirror images. So you'll be using the same patterns on page 5 as we're using on page 4. Okay, and that looks good. This is directional, so take a look. And usually the flip side can help you with that too. It's pretty subtle, but it's worth taking a look at. I'm gonna double check one more time. Yes, it looks good. Okay, just a reminder, this is the B side of page 4. B side of page 4. So page 4, now we're ready to do page 5, and we're going to repeat that process. I can't remember if I put these toward the center or on the edges. On the edges, and I like it better that way. So we're going to do that. Okay, and then it's the same thing. We're using the same 2 patterns here as we did on page 4. And I'm just checking before I ink it one more time to make sure everything is trimmed right. If you were with me on one of my pages, you saw that I didn't verify the size of the flap and I put the wrong one in. And that's the B side of page 5. So we'll go through that one more time. Patterns, and then this opens down. And that is it for page 4 and 5.